train. I had a pretty gnarly knee injury, so my brother was training at the time. So I just started taking pictures of him training, and I just kept going from there, and then I dwelled more into like portraits and stuff like that. So I mainly like doing like couples portraits and weddings and stuff like that. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's nice to have like a little hobby outside of fighting where I can focus my time on that. So
Yeah, another little craft that you can work on, right?
exactly, yeah.
Knee injury from what? Just life?
Yeah, just being a dumb kid trying to,
That happens
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. So
That happens.
yeah, I tore some ligaments in my knee, and it just took forever to recover. And just the healthcare around here isn't the best, so it just took forever. But finally got it all going, and then after like I'm gonna say a couple weeks after I was cleared to do like a jujitsu tournament, I took a fight.
No
And
shit.
yeah, I won that one in like a minute, and then just kept going from there. So
Were you a little worried about going into it with your
yeah,
knee?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I felt like my skills were good enough to where I could probably try to avoid it, but it was definitely in like the back of my mind.
How long had you been training before you took that fight?
Probably about I probably did kickboxing for maybe a year and a half, but I was all in, and I'd watched stuff before, so it wasn't like I just didn't know what I was getting into.
You had a
Uh,
rough idea of where you were gonna go.
exactly, yeah, yeah. So I would study it like crazy. At the time, we didn't really have gyms around here, so I would study it like crazy. I have a twin brother who fights, and we just do stuff on each other, and we just practice like that.
It's good having him around just as a training partner, right? You guys can kind of work moves on each other.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the time. He's like, yeah, my main training partner. So we grew up fighting. There's pictures of us like at 2 years old. With boxing gloves on, beating the crap out of each other. So
Kickboxing, that's how you got your start?
yes, yeah, I did that. My brother did jujitsu, and then we eventually started training together, and then yeah, yeah. So I started with kickboxing, and then after my knee was a little bit better, I started doing more and more jujitsu.
And did you start at Europe at Institute of Combat there
Institute
in
combat. Yeah,
Arcade,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Is that where you started?
Yes, yes.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah. I've been there the whole time. I plan on staying there the whole time. So yeah, now I'm making my pro debut. So
July 15th, man. That's how I found you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, it's we're bringing back good MMA back to Humboldt. We got a couple pros on there. Cass is gonna be fighting on there, which everyone's excited about. He's making his long-awaited return back to Humboldt. So it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good show. Tickets I believe are almost sold out already. So it's been awesome. Yeah,
And so how many fights have you done as an amateur? 7?
7 fights. Yeah,
7 fights.
yeah, yeah.
Is that the normal amount that you would take before you go pro, or what was kind of the thought process
It's
there?
different for everybody. For me, I wanted to just really push myself, and I wanted to fight the toughest amateurs, just so when I do turn pro, it's not gonna be anything I haven't seen before, right? Because I'm taking these like amateur level fights that are they're basically professionals, just different. We have shorter times, and we don't have knees and elbows to the face, but these guys are good. I'm fighting number 1, 2, 3, all the top guys in my division in the States. So I really want to just, test myself, see, where I'm at. And, I did pretty good for my amateurs. And then I was like, next step is obviously pros.
It felt like the time
Yes,
to kind
yeah,
of transition there.
yeah, yeah. Especially after my last fight, it was for the number 1 spot in California. And I thought I did enough to win. It was a good fight. Judges gave it to him. It is what it is. But I feel like I did really good in that fight. So it was just a, next logical step.
Is that the hardest way for a fight to end, is when it goes to decision? Would you rather have it be a KO or something, or
I'd rather get a
just
finish
submission?
just because that's what I trained for. Finishes. This kid was super tough. Though, like I said, it was like for the number 1 spot in California. Hometown guy. Had like the judges on his side, which it is what it is. I could have done things differently to make it more like put a stamp of approval on it. But decisions. I mean, it's a good learning experience. Don't get me wrong. You go in all 3 rounds, and you learn a lot about yourself during that time. So yeah, but for me, I have 100% finish rate. So I wanted to keep it that way. So, I guess it's like a blessing in disguise that I did lose a decision because, I still have the 100% finish rate.
Yeah, it's got to sting like that, especially if it comes down to the judges.
Yeah.
And you're not in your hometown, so you don't
Yep.
have that little edge.
Exactly,
You're like,
yeah.
oh shit, did I really lose that, or what happened here?
Yeah. I mean, at first, I thought it was like close after watching it. I don't think it was that close. Again, it's just my
Well, it's got to be hard to gauge when you're the one that
When
fought
you're fighting,
it.
yeah,
Like, "Man,
exactly, yeah.
I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, but for me, it was like the outpour afterwards. Like people I don't even know messaging me, like telling me they thought I won. So, but it is what it is. It's a learning experience. You just gotta pick yourself up and just keep going.
Is judging kind of variable like that when you're in the amateurs? Or is there a strict kind of code amongst those guys?
So judging is you're supposed to have a certain criteria that you go off of. a lot of these judges just kind of base it off of who they thought won the round rather than actually following like the criteria, right? Because it's supposed to be damage is the first thing and then control. So if damage is equal, whoever has the next like whoever had more control would win the round. But sometimes you get someone who might wrestle who takes you down and just holds you down. And the guy can be like, attacking from the bottom, throwing up submissions and whatnot. But the guy who had more control would win the round, even though it might not be more damage per se. But each judge is going to be different no matter what. So they're just gonna,
You kind of just have to deal with it at the end of the
exactly.
day.
Yeah, you gotta try to be, the better fighter in the moment and never leave it to the judges because I've seen so many like Cass who had just fought. I think it was back in March. I thought for sure he won. I thought he won very clearly, and then the judges gave it to the other guy. So you never know, what's gonna happen. And then especially in pros, they take half your paycheck away if you lose because they split up between show and win money. And if you lose, then you lose half the money. So all because a judge's opinion rather than scoring to the criteria actually. But
Yeah, that's got to stay. That's
yeah,
not how you want it to end.
exactly. Yeah, but
Are you guys making a lot of money as amateur fighters? Or is the money when you go pro? That's what
money's
everybody's
when you go
shooting
pro. Yeah,
for.
yeah. So it's illegal to pay amateurs.
So you guys are doing this for free.
For free. I have some sponsors that help out. So shout out to Exit Realty, Bottle and Cork, and then Happy Joe. But I mean, yeah, you're just doing it for the love of it at that point. And then once you go pro, then that's when you start getting paid.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's
You guys are
nuts.
stepping into the ring and there's no guarantee of anything coming out.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. You can, obviously take brain damage, right? Getting punched to the head. If you do it correctly, though, like matchmaking, no one's gonna seriously get hurt. Obviously, if you get some guy who's way levels above that, like some random kid, that's how people get hurt. But if you do like matchmaking correctly, you train properly, you have a good gym, good coach, you're not gonna seriously get hurt too. I don't think I've ever gotten hurt in any of my fights. So, I bumps and bruises, but those go away in a couple days. But yeah, fighting
Nothing that's going to put you out for a couple months.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, fine. You just do it because you love it, and then obviously you train enough. You go pro. That's when the paydays start coming. So it's weird. Like when I first signed the contract, like I saw how much I'm actually getting paid. Like I'm actually getting paid for it. It's so crazy. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Well, especially just to be making money doing something that you enjoy.
Yeah,
That has to be a
exactly.
pretty great feeling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who gets to decide who you're up against? Is it just they throw out, hey, we've got this guy, whoever wants to fight him, or is your coach kind of involved in that?
So there's matchmakers. So they go and look for the opponents, and then they'll probably like relay it to like my coach or me, and then I'll sit down and talk to my coach. Should we take this fight? Is it a good fight? And he's always down for us fighting like the toughest guys around, which it gets pretty rough, but it's like if we want to be the best, we got to beat the best. And so we're not taking any easy fights ever. So usually he's saying, yeah, let's go for it, and then we try to come up with a game plan, work specific things, and then try to execute it during the fight.
Do you have a training camp going
Yeah,
into a fight, or are you just always kind of in pretty good shape where you can take one and then just work a few moves? Or
I
like watch some tape of this guy and figure out what his weakness is and go in.
yeah, yeah. So my coach is really good at breaking down stuff like that, and then I would say I'm pretty good at listening and following along. Uh, Training camp though, this one I have about 7 weeks left. Uh, so it's a lot of hard training. You want to do cardio, and get your body ready for it. So I mean, training crazy year round, at least for me, just isn't possible since I'm a diabetic as well. So trying to fight with diabetes, trying to maintain that and stuff, I can't just break down my body like that. So I have to be, I have to think a little differently about it. But right now it's 7 weeks, which just getting the conditioning up, getting your body used to it, trying to go through the game plan, the motions and all that.
So 7 weeks. So you're week 2, week 3 right now?
This is week 2.
Week 2.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on?
Right now I'm just working on just my movement, just making sure I'm dictating where the fight's gonna be. I don't want to just stand in one spot. Just a bunch of stuff that I had to work on from my last fight. We're trying to fix it right now, and then as the weeks come along, then we're adding more and more stuff, right? And especially because now it's pro, so we have 5-minute rounds as opposed to 3-minute rounds, and then we also have elbows and knees to the face. So completely,
You got a couple new dynamics in
exactly,
there.
yeah. So my offense is gonna be a little bit different, as well as my defense, and then just pacing is gonna be because 3-minute round, right? You get a takedown, you basically won the round because it's so short. But 5 minutes, you got to really pace yourself, otherwise you're gonna gas out pretty quick.
Are you guys doing a lot of grappling when you go into training camp, or do you feel like you have a pretty solid base there?
I would say my grappling's good. I can always work on it. But I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I feel like my submissions are pretty good. but you can always work on it, right? There's always something to work on. Yeah, even if you feel like the moment you feel like you have everything under
That's when
control.
you lost.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's always something. I'm always learning something new every single day.
Do you feel like you're stronger on the ground or standing up?
I would say
Or it's kind of a
I
toss up right now?
so my finishes are split. I would say I'm more comfortable kickboxing for sure, but like if it goes to the ground, I'm totally fine there. But I like my punches and kicks. That's really like what I started with, and that's really what I enjoy doing.
You had those calf kicks, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw a fight, I don't know, it was with Laz, I think. You were fighting
yes,
him, and
yeah,
you guys were trading those calf kicks
yes,
pretty
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, so that was the whole game plan for Laz, was to really just chop down his legs. That was a tough one because that was my first loss, and that was really when I realized I needed, like, get, like, my whole diabetes thing in check too because just the whole, like, the lead up to that, like, my blood sugars are just so crazy and just, it was nuts, yeah, so that was a good learning experience as well too, and he was actually the state champion too.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he was a state champion for the longest time. That was for a title as well. So there was just so much going into it, and then I got humbled pretty good in that one, but it's again just like learning experiences.
The type 1 diabetes, I mean, how much of a factor is that in this?
Oh, it's huge.
Are you just like, that's always constantly in the back of your head with your training or
Yes,
with
yeah,
what you're eating? What's going on there?
yeah. So I have to make sure my diet's on point. I can't have too many carbs because if I'm taking insulin, right, I have the possibility to go, dropping low with my blood sugar. Same with training, right? If I'm training too hard, my blood sugar can go low. So I have to keep it at like a constant, like normal level. And then people don't realize like when like fight night happens, like your body just has so much adrenaline. Adrenaline raises blood sugar. So then I'm in the backstage taking insulin, try,
Before you go out and
before I
fight?
go fight,
Oh,
trying to bring it down, and just the whole lead up to it, right? If I have like a couple days where like my blood sugar is just crazy, then I'm feeling, like just tired and like lethargic and whatnot. Like even when I fought Laz, my blood sugar before I walked out to go fight was like I think it was like 325 or something like that, and then it goes up during the fight too. So it was in like the 400s, and my mind was not there for sure, but it's something I've definitely gotten better at. I've been working on it for sure, and it seems to be I found like a good like little recipe for to figure it all out.
does getting hit in the head, does that affect it at all? Does that
Uh,
any brain stuff
I'm not.
reacting to I'm not that familiar with
Yeah, yeah,
insulin
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I don't think so. I mean, it might like make your adrenaline go up, spike a little bit higher. You're in danger and stuff. But I think it's just the adrenaline and just you're in a fight or flight
Yeah,
thing,
just
and
getting amped up before
exactly,
you
yeah,
walk out
and
there.
you can't run away from it. So your body's just just pumping adrenaline like crazy. So, but with insulin, just trying to time it correctly too, because it's not an instant thing. You have to time it correctly to where I try to make it go down, and I try to keep about 150. So
Is
that
that normal? Is 150?
for me, that'd be about like, yeah, normal because then your blood sugar goes up about 100 points. So if I can time it correctly, get about 200, I'll probably be all right. But yeah, like a couple of my fights, they're like in like the 300, 400 range, which normal is like 100, 120.
And so when it spikes like that and you're at 300 or 400, you get pretty tired. It's almost like all the energy's draining from you, or
Yes, so yeah, you get lethargic. Your mind's not
which
thinking.
is in the middle of a fight. That's not what you
It's
want
the
to
scariest thing
happen.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, your reaction times go way down. It's just yeah, it's not ideal, but it's something. I mean, I was born with it. I got to figure it out at some point. So
Well, it's pretty crazy that you have that and you decided, yeah, I'm gonna go fight.
yeah,
This is the path I'm gonna go down.
yeah, I was training. So I was training before I figured out I had it.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, and then so I was training for maybe a few months, and then out of nowhere, I got super sick. It was like 35 pounds. I was down like under 100 pounds, and it was just I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe I was just training too much and not eating enough. And also all my friends and family were trying to like give me carbs to like gain more weight, which obviously sugars and stuff. It's complete opposite. So
Wreck your
they're
body.
just killing me. Yeah, and then finally I went to the doctors, and yeah, my blood sugar was so high for so long that their machine couldn't even read how high my blood sugar was. Yeah, I was on like death's door. It was pretty gnarly.
Did you when you went in and you found that out, did you have a second where you were like, maybe I shouldn't fight or maybe I'm not gonna fight? Were you fighting like actual fights or were you just training?
I was just training at this point because I
Okay.
still had like the knee injury, so I wasn't fighting. But I'm like, for me, I was like, if I just keep up with this, like it's gonna help me out a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm working, so my blood sugar is gonna stay at like a normal level. So I just worked everything else around training, especially for like I was so addicted to training, just just everything else had to go around my training. So that's kind of still how it is. Everything works around my training. So I was like, it's another thing that has to go around it.
That's kinda how I am with the gym. It's
Yeah.
like I structure my whole day around, "Okay, when am I gonna go to the gym?
Yeah.
What am I doing today?"
Yeah.
And then my day kind of falls in place around that.
Yep. Yeah. And then it just becomes like a routine after a while. So yeah.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
What a crazy way to find out you're training and then all of a sudden you just drop 35 pounds, which for you, I mean, you're not a huge guy or anything, so
Yeah.
35 pounds makes a difference.
Yeah. I was like right on like 100 pounds. I'm sure if I, was like in my underwear, I'd be under 100 pounds. And it was just like skin and bone. Now I remember just like I was so cold all the time. Just like I had no energy whatsoever. Like people would try to talk to me. It's just one word responses. And then I would go train like crazy and my blood sugar would go back to like normal. And everyone think I was like something was wrong with me. I had like a concussion or something like that. I was like, no, guys, I feel good. But it was just like my blood sugar finally going down, and then I go eat, blood sugar go like back up. But it was
Just up and down.
yeah, it was rough.
What are you doing for a diet to compensate for that? Low carb stuff or
Right now,
yeah.
right now I'm just on insulin. Because I need carbs to get through the day to hard training and
Well,
whatnot.
especially going into a fight.
Yeah,
You need
exactly.
that
Yeah,
energy storage.
and then but weight cutting is where it gets pretty tough. Like losing the weight, because obviously if I'm training, I need to have carbs because the insulin's bringing down my blood sugar. I need to replace it with something. So, but you're not supposed to have carbs when you're cutting weight because they hold on to stuff. So it's a lot of just like just give and take. So I'll cut a little bit of weight, eat some carbs, cut a little bit more weight, eat some carbs, and it's just yeah.
Are there any fighters that have done any training or any actual competitions on like a keto diet or
I
like
Yeah,
or
yeah,
any
yeah.
low carb stuff?
I've seen a few people where they do it. For me, it just wouldn't be possible just because I've tried to go keto and my blood sugar just doesn't go down low enough. So I've tried that. Like it
It just
worked
wouldn't be beneficial enough. It doesn't
n-
get you where you need to be.
exactly. Yeah, not for me. So yeah, just but there's a bunch of people that do keto and stuff. I've seen a few fighters who have like lived by it and stuff, and like it works for them. But just for me, it just it's something that wouldn't work out too well.
Well, I've heard of even those guys that run ultra marathons
Hmm.
and they'll be keto, but before they run, they're still eating some carbs because
Exactly. Yeah.
you need that to get you where you need to
Yeah, yeah,
go.
yeah. Isn't keto even like you can have a certain amount of carbs if you're working out?
I think it's below 50 grams a
Okay, yeah,
day
yeah,
of carbs.
yeah. So
Or it might vary a little bit too, depending on your body weight.
okay, yeah. Because right now, yeah, I usually do around like 30 grams before like a workout, and that's if I'm not taking any insulin. But then that's if I'm like trying to maintain weight. If I'm trying to gain weight, I have to eat a little bit more, and then obviously cutting, I eat less.
And so when you're training, you're eating a little bit of carbs. Are you taking insulin while you're training too to
If
kind of balance
if
you out?
if my blood sugar goes high, I'll take some insulin. But usually, I have it down pretty good to where I can train and not have to take insulin now, just because
You can
I
make it through a whole training session.
yes, yes, yeah. Sometimes I might go a little low, but then I usually have snacks with me, so I just eat like a little granola bar or something like that, and then just get back on back to training.
Does your recovery change because of that? Are you doing like ice baths or sauna or anything that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
helps?
yeah, yeah. So I have a little like a cold plunge, like a little like
Those cold plunges are all the rage
yeah,
now.
yeah. It's like a little barrel, but you just fill it up, make it nice and cold and stuff, and that's like really all. And then I have like a little portable sauna that I use, and I
A
love.
little like single person blow up
Yeah,
one.
I
Oh,
love that
nice.
thing. Yeah, I love that thing. So, especially during camps, I try to do that every single day. I need to get back into the cold plunge. It's just like after my last fight, I was like, dude, that's the last thing I want to do is get in that cold water. I hate it, especially because like I'm all skin and bone too, so it's just
Yeah, you
extra
feel the cold.
exactly. And it's been raining and it's just cold here, but yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah, and then like just like taking the right supplements and just trying to be smart with the training and not injure myself.
What are you doing post fight? Are you pretty beat up? I know you said you don't take too much damage because you guys are
Uh-huh.
pretty well matched.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
does post fight look like for you?
Post fight, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I've had a couple fights where I was back training on Monday, and but sometimes like one of my fights, I had messed up the ligaments in my foot, so just take some time off and just work maybe just like boxing or something like
Rehab
that.
it a little bit.
Exactly, and just take a little bit of time off, maybe just ride the bike, do some cardio and stuff. But for the most part, I would say, yeah, I mean like yeah, just back to training on
Nothing
Monday.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not like taking 3 weeks off
No,
and
no,
then
no.
going back in.
No, no,
Okay.
I get too like anxious and stuff if I take too much time off. I might take a couple days off if I'm like, traveling back up with my family and stuff, but other than that, I get too anxious. I get to, like
Yeah, I get spastic if I'm not working
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like if you take a week off, it's like, nope, can't be
Exa-
around me. I'll start going sideways.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I start getting like pretty like, antsy. I start like trying to like pick fights with my wife and everything and she gets tired of
Yeah,
me.
I'm sure she doesn't
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Sends me off to the gym, so but,
Are you I mean, the brain damage stuff and just the toll on your body. Do you think about that a lot? Or is that kind of something you have to set aside
No,
to
yeah,
do what you
no,
want to
I
do?
definitely think about it. I have 2 kids. I don't wanna be, brain dead by the time they're, in high school. So, at our gym, we don't spar hard at all. We're very technical because a lot of people have, like, the misconception that you take brain damage in these fights. And it might be true for, like, boxing and stuff because 'cause they're doing, like, 36 minutes of fighting. But for us, like, we have so many different ways to win a fight. We have submissions. We have like TKOs. It's just we can finish fights with like leg kicks and stuff like that. So it's not just headshots. So a lot of it comes down to the sparring, right? People go crazy in sparring, but for us, we just go nice and technical because we want to again save our brain, right? Until like we want to have see our grandchildren and stuff
Yeah,
like
you guys
that.
don't want to wail on each other just practicing.
Exactly, yeah, which is crazy though, because some places they love that stuff, right? They encourage that stuff. But for us, our coach always tells us, stay nice and technical, right? If we could do it, nice and technical, and then have the cardio to back it up, then we could, do it in a fight. And just it's a smart way to do it. And I feel like more gyms are starting to do it that way. So
Well, it seems like that's the direction most people should be moving. Now
yeah,
that like CTE and all of these things are
hmm
so apparent, people are like, okay,
yeah,
maybe we don't need to go 120%
yep,
sparring. We can
exactly,
just drill a little bit more, focus on the technique.
yep,
I mean, it's not like I would imagine you know how to throw a punch. So it's not
exactly,
like
yeah.
that is at the top of your list of, oh, I need to
Ex
hone this a little
yeah.
more.
Yeah, I would say, like, hard sparring, it does have, like, a place and time, especially if you've never been in a fight before. You kinda have to know what it feels like. Obviously, you can go, like, hard to, like, the bodies and, like, a good pace and, like, go easy to the head. But, like, a good pace, like a hard, like, sparring, I think would be good for people who are wanting to, like, fight,
Aren't
right?
familiar with it.
Exactly, yeah, but I grew up fighting and, I've had, plenty of fights. I know exactly, how it feels during a fight, so
Yeah, if you've never been punched,
yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah,
probably a good thing to know before you step in the ring.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Otherwise, everything's just gonna go out the window. You're not gonna know what to do. You're gonna panic, and yeah.
Was that hard, that panic aspect, going into the ring for the first time? Were you a
Uh,
little jittery?
I didn't really have it too much. I was like nervous. Don't get me wrong. You have nerves for sure, but like a panic, not too much. I just I believed in the training that we were doing at the time, and I just felt like good going into the fight. So I didn't have too much of a panic.
You felt pretty solid.
Yes,
You
yeah,
knew
yeah.
what you were getting into.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Have you ever been in any street fights or anything?
I mean, yeah, like high school scuffles and
Yeah.
stuff like that, yeah, but, like, we used to, like we grew up in a trailer park, so, like, the only thing to really do was, like, either you played, like, video games or, like, we had, like, a little, like, fight night on, like, every Friday, so we just
Yeah,
get
see, I went the video game route. That's why I'm doing a podcast
yeah.
now.
Yeah, but, I'm still playing video I just beat the new Zelda, like, the other day too, so
Tears of the Kingdom?
oh, I
I
love
haven't
it.
played it, man. I've seen some videos. It looks pretty
Oh, I
sick.
love it. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I got, like, the tattoos and everything,
Oh,
but,
no shit.
yeah, yeah, so but, so either if I wasn't playing video games or, like, we're outside, like, boxing, like, other like, the neighborhood kids and stuff, so, yeah.
It's good training for where you're at now.
Yeah, it gave me, like, I guess, the experience, even though it wasn't, like,
Or even just a little confidence
a little
that
bit,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna get into a scuffle and then
yeah,
shit's gonna hit the fan.
exactly, yeah, 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 the little bit experience, all that and stuff, so going into, like, my first, fight, I was just, like, like,
You felt prepared.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Well, I would imagine that's kind of the structure of you guys up at IOC is
Mhm.
it's not just a training gym, like you're training to fight up there, right? That's my interpretation of
Oh,
it.
yeah, so we have, like, a fight team where, yeah, we have specific guys who are just training to fight, and obviously we have, like, our regular classes for people who wanna just, learn some jujitsu, learn some kickboxing and stuff too, so it's like it's not like an ego-filled gym where, you're just beating the crap out of each other, so we have classes where even, like, our all of, like, the pro fighters are in these classes training with, 80-year-olds and, like, all these other people, you got, like, these accountants or whatever, right? Everyone's training together, so it's not and then we obviously have, like, the fight team where, where that's where, like, the training is, like, ramped up and everything.
A little more intense.
Exactly, yeah, all the cardio and, all the weightlifting and then plus the technique, it gets pretty tough.
Is it just you guys and then what is it, Lost Boys up there too?
Yeah, there's Lost Boys and then, like, Humble Jiu-Jitsu is, but they're not really, like, MMA, but
Does Lost Boys do they train any fighters or they're more just class based?
no, no, they have a bunch of fighters.
They have fighters
Yeah, they
too.
have fighters. They do like the Bear River fights and whatnot, and then some of the guys come and spar with us a little bit every once in a while. But
Are they more gi jujitsu? Are you guys are more no gi, right? Because you're prepping for
yeah,
fights.
yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what Lost Boys does, but for us, we're like more no gi. We've had like a couple gi classes beforehand and whatnot, but yeah, for the most part, we're more like grappling, like it kind of suits more towards jiu-jitsu tournaments and like fights.
I like the no-gi stuff.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to take a couple of classes, and I feel like no-gi would be the way to go because that's a little more realistic, at least for the situations I would be in.
Yes,
I don't
yeah.
think I'm gonna ever run into a street fight and there's gonna be a guy with a gi standing there trying to come
That'd
at
be,
me. You
yeah,
know?
unless you're in like Brazil or something like that.
Might happen in Brazil. I would believe that.
Yeah. For me, I like the no-gi. I just feel like it's more fast, like fast paced. The scrambles are fun. I do enjoy gi as well. It's just I'm saving that for like when I'm retired. I can have something to do. You know what I mean? So just do all my no-gi now, and then once I'm done with fighting, then I can retire with some gi.
Retire and just roll
Yeah,
around,
exactly.
do
Yeah,
some movements.
yeah. I've learned all that stuff. So
That's exciting, man. The professional debut, I mean, this is like what you want to do? Your plan is to go
yeah,
and stick with this for as long,
yeah,
like ride this wave as long as
yeah.
you
Yeah.
can.
Get to the UFC, and then
That's the
that's the
get.
end goal, yeah.
UFC.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been dreaming about that since I was, a teenager, just, watching, videos, trying to just learn all by myself. And then when I found the gym, Institute of Combat, just,
Just
everything,
clicked.
it just clicked. Yeah. And then we've been going ever since. So, try to get there, get to the UFC and make some noise.
Is your brother trying to do the same?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, he
man.
just had a fight on Saturday as well. And he won second round with a submission. So we had three guys fighting in Reading, and we came out, thankfully 3-0 for that weekend. But a bunch of tough fights and everything.
It's almost the perfect combination where you both are trying to go down this path because you've
Hmm.
got a perfect sparring partner in him and
Yep,
he's got one in you.
yep.
And you guys are both serious enough about it where you're not just rolling with some like me. Like if you were rolling with me,
Mhm.
you'd fuck me up. But you two are on kind of par with each other.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, we have a bunch of teammates too. We like Caspel, obviously.
Another great one.
Exactly. Yeah, he fought in Bellator. He was ranked in. I think he was like number 8 in Bellator for like the longest time. We have guys like like Dupree. We
You
yeah,
guys have a solid team
a
built
solid
up
team.
there.
We're all training together, and even training with like the new guys. Like you could learn something new. I mean, obviously maybe not like techniques, but they might do something a little different, but you've never seen it before. You're like, oh, okay, that was pretty cool. So you can learn. If you have the right mindset, you can learn anything from anybody. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, especially if they almost have that advantage where they don't have the experience of what someone would do in that situation. So
Exactly.
they're
Yeah.
a little more sporadic.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it comes to like self defense or something like that, that's more ideal like that. Because obviously, if you get me in like a mount position, I'm gonna do a certain move where it's like you learn it in jujitsu.
Yeah,
But
what you've trained to do.
exactly. But if I had no idea what I'm doing, I might just like spaz out like crazy. But which would probably be more realistic in like a self defense situation.
I've heard that it's rolling with those new guys that are just getting into it. That's where it can get a little dicey because that's how people get injured. Does that kind of track?
Yeah. Usually, if you get like two like newer people together, then they just go crazy.
Because nobody knows what
They
they're
have no,
doing.
yeah,
So
have
they're
no
just
control. Yeah. So, but I mean, at least for us, right? I'm like, if I'm like, watching, I'm making sure they're staying calm and everything. Our coach does that too. He doesn't really just like, throw people in there, against like.
feed them to the wolves.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially at our gym, we're nice to everybody. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever seriously gotten hurt over there. So, it's just, yeah, just having like, someone, with control, you're not going to get hurt.
Yeah, that aspect of not getting hurt. I mean, that's got to be with any sport. That's the key factor, right? That determines your longevity is just
Yeah.
how long you can go without getting seriously hurt.
Exactly, yeah, and I would say it even like boils down to like what you do after training as well. Making sure that you have like the proper diet. You're not like staying up till 3 in the morning. And
Eating pizza every night.
exactly, yeah. I've been slacking on that. My diet's been horrible recently, but
Dude, In-N-Out has been my weakness lately. Those
really,
4x4s,
I've been doing like mod and like Babes
mod pizza's
pizza.
good.
Yeah, pizza's been like my thing, and like pasta right now too. Oh, it's been bad. It's been horrible, but it's like I get like one more week, and then I can start like dialing in my diet. So
So
I'm
once you get a little bit closer to the fight, you kind of
yeah,
hone everything in.
yeah, yeah. You want everything to be, solid. So again, you're not getting hurt. You're firing on all cylinders. Just making sure you're feeling good, and making sure sleep's proper and everything. So there's a lot of
What does your sleep look like?
I work in the morning, so I'm trying to go to bed by like 11 o'clock, and but I have 2 babies, and so
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
like they wake up in the middle of the night. Sometimes they wake up pretty early. So I'm just trying to get at least try to get 8 hours, if possible, which I've been pretty good at it. So
8 hours is kind of the sweet spot for you.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I would say even like a little bit less would be fine. I feel like sometimes like at 8 hours, like I've overslept. People call me crazy because of that, but I feel like if I get like 7 hours, I feel like I'm like almost better than 8. But
There's a sweet spot in
uh-huh.
there. I've had that where, I mean, you could get 4.5 hours of sleep and then you wake up and you feel great.
Yep,
And
yep.
then you sleep for 9 and your body's wrecked. You get nothing
Exactly, yep.
accomplished that day.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, it's just again, just like anything, just trying to find it, to trying to find like the right routine for everything.
So the process from here moving forward, so you make your debut,
Mhm.
do you have to take a couple of fights in this new position and then try to work your way into the UFC? How does that transition look?
So UFC, they don't typically bring in people with like I wouldn't say like probably like under even like 7 fights. They do this thing where it's like Dana White Contender Series where they bring like like good prospects in. So try to get like a good record going. Obviously, I don't want to just pad my record though. You know what I mean? A lot of people do that. They pad their record, they get to the UFC, and then they can't pull the trigger because they didn't fight like stiff competition, and then they can't handle it. So I want to fight good fights going up to it. Get a good record going. But fighting like good fights, and then hopefully get my shot to into the UFC.
Do you kind of have to build? I mean, you're right in the sense that you don't want to just pad your record because then you
Mhm.
get there and then if you go up against somebody who's got some real skills, then it's gonna get awkward really
Yeah,
fast.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Do you? I mean, is there a balance between you don't want to do too many fights so that you're kind of worn down before you get there, like a sweet spot of maybe 15, or no? It's all just dependent on
I mean,
when you get the
it
when you
just
get the
yeah,
call.
whenever they call you, right? And especially now with like pros, you definitely want to stay ready for the right opportunities. And like as professionals, like you should be ready the whole time training and learning new stuff and everything. So just staying ready the whole time, especially now that I am turning pro, just making sure like if something does pop up like a great opportunity, like even like in amateurs, right? Like a couple of my title fights were short notice fights, so it was like just staying ready and and being prepared, and I was able to win those fights too, just because I was training, I was ready. So same thing with like the professionals, right? You never know when you're gonna get the call. All the UFC fighters talk about it. So
Yeah, you hear that a lot. They
yeah,
get the call like 2 weeks out, and it's like, well, are you
exactly,
gonna
yeah,
take it or not?
exactly, yeah. And if you say no, then you might never get that opportunity ever again. So just staying ready the whole time.
Have you been in that position where you've been called up for a fight as an amateur and you turned it down, or were worried that if you did turn it down, you wouldn't get another one, or does that not really happen?
No, there's so many shows as amateurs. I've never turned down a fight. I've had to pull out of a fight one time just because my diabetes was just so out of like control. It's just like I wasn't able to train. So that was like the only fight I've ever had to like pull out of. But every other fight I've taken fights on 2 weeks notice. I think I took one on like 3 weeks notice. I took a title fight, my first title fight. I had got the call. My first son was just born, and we were in the hospital. It was literally the next day, and they asked me if I wanted to take the fight. So I was like,
You're
yeah.
like, yeah, hell
I
yeah,
ran
I'm
out of the
there.
hospital, started running. Yeah,
Started training.
exactly. Yeah, and it's like it sucks, but it's like you got to sacrifice sometimes. So it's like it's a funny story now, but it's like at the time, I felt pretty bad about it. But it's like it's like it set me up for great opportunities. So
What is your sweet spot for a training camp? 7 weeks,
like 8 weeks. I
eight
like I like
weeks.
eight
Like
weeks.
if you
Yeah,
had an ideal setup, it
yeah,
would be 8 weeks
8 weeks. Yeah,
notice
yeah. Yeah, yeah, 2 months. Yeah, that'd be good.
to kind of just get honed in,
Mhm.
prepare, watch.
Exactly.
Are you watching tape on your
Yes.
opponent?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I watch like almost every day, just making sure if I see something new, I can think about it, visualize it, and whatnot.
And you said your coach is pretty good about that too,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
honing things
Yeah.
in.
He sees stuff that's just like I'm like, dude, I didn't even notice that. And, like he's so good. He's been doing it forever though, so he catches up on these like little things. Maybe the guy might throw a kick and then like drop his hand like a certain way, and so we have to try to counter that, or maybe set him up with a certain thing to make him move left or right, whatever it may be, and then throw something else. So.
What does your wife think about all this? Is she worried for you, or
Oh, she likes it.
she
Yeah,
does?
she likes it. Yeah, she wrestled for 4 years, in high school, and that's actually where we met was at the gym, and,
Oh,
so
how funny is
yeah,
that?
yeah, so, yeah, she used to throw me around all over the place, and, I was like, "Oh, okay," I
So
kinda
she gets it.
yeah, exactly, yeah, she watched, MMA too, and then, yeah, we bring the kids to the fights and whatnot, so
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my son, he was, 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks when he went to his first fight, and
That
so
was the one that you got
that
called
was
after the
yeah, yes,
hospital.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so they love it. My mom loves it. My whole family's into it and whatnot. So
Was fighting big in your family before you and your brothers picked it up?
no,
You guys were the first
yeah,
ones to
first
kind of
ones, yeah,
say,
and
yeah.
yeah, right now we're the only ones who are like, still training. My little brother used to train a little bit, but he went to the Air Force and kind of just stopped from there. But yeah, him and I are the only ones who are actually like doing it. My older brother in Hawaii, fought a while ago, but then just stopped.
Kind of fell out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's something you gotta love it if you're gonna do it, right? Because
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
can't step into the ring and think, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not doing what I
That's
should
yeah. You,
be.
you kind of went a little too far if you get into the ring and then thinking, yeah, I don't want to be here. So
Yeah, that would be a
yeah.
fuck me moment. Like,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
don't actually want to do this. I think I might need to back out.
Exactly. Yeah. And you see it happen all the time too. People who just like want to fight, but don't want to put the training in, and they really don't know what they're getting into, and then you see it just all the time. They just like find a way out, and it's just like it's kind of sad 'cause it's not really it's a sport, but it's not really a sport, if you know what I mean. It's like
It's a sport with some serious consequences.
exactly, yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of consequences with it, and it's just like you have to have a lot of sacrifices with it as well. I'm broke always. I have like no time for anyone else. I go to work, train, and go straight home, and then go to bed. And it's just there's a lot of sacrifices. You're not going out on the weekends and whatnot. So I think people they see the fight and they don't realize what is leading up to it.
All the work going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it hard to kind of maintain friendships with that state, or do people not really understand that? Hey, I can't go party until 3 in the morning. First off, because I have kids at home.
Yeah.
Second off, because I got to be up for
Yeah.
work and then I got to go train.
Yeah, I would. Luckily enough for me, like all my friends train,
So they get it.
exactly. Yeah, and everybody knows me, knows that like I don't want to mess up my training and whatnot. And, like they kind of understand that. That was like the first thing. Like even like my wife, like the first thing I told her was like, if you like get in the way of like my training, it's like we're done. So and she understood that and everything. And that's just how people know me as okay, yeah, like he's gonna be training, and maybe I might see him on the weekend. So.
It's hard when you found something that you're passionate about
Mhm.
and you're around people that don't necessarily have that yet,
Mhm.
because there's kind of a disconnect of time
Yep.
where they just have, like, if you just work a job and you don't really have anything that you're striving to outside of that,
Mhm.
not necessarily that you're not doing anything, but if you go to work and then you're off and you've got all this free time on
Yep.
the weekends after work,
Yep.
you don't really understand the idea that, no, I've got this thing that I'm working towards, so I don't really have that time. I get
Ex-
off from work and then I go to work part two.
exactly. Yeah. And training is like a full time job in itself. You know what I mean?
When you gotta be fucking tired after a long day of training.
I'm exhausted, yeah, and then I come home and then gotta get the kids to bed and everything too, and it's just like, yeah, just no energy, and then, maybe after a fight, I might have like a week to where like I can just like relax for a second.
Kind of catch your breath and then you're
Yeah,
back into it.
exactly, right back into it. Yeah, especially now too. It's just like you gotta just go for it, and then like, I'll spend all my time, like in my 20s, early 30s, just train, fight, and then after that, after I'm all done with it, then I can, finally take a back step and just like relax. But like right now, it's just go time.
When you're at the age where you gotta put in the work, right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, yeah. I can't be 35 years old trying to make a run for it. It's just not possible. So right now's the time, and just all the stuff can wait, and then we'll be happier afterwards.
Yeah, the idea that you have to put in the work when you're young to build the life that you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's tough, again, like not going out, being able to eat what I want when I want, but at the end, it's gonna be worth it.
What do a lot of fighters, I would imagine you're better off starting young, but do any of them start in their 30s and have a pretty successful career? You're kind of aged out at that point.
Yeah, I guess it depends if you did anything like as a kid, like if you wrestled, like at like a high level, I would say probably like get away with that. But other than that, I don't see how you can build up enough time. It takes so long to even build up like a half decent base. I mean, I'm sure like if you get more like maybe like the higher weight classes, like heavyweights, where like they're not as athletic. Uh,
And you could just throw one solid
Exactly,
punch and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
good.
exactly. But like when it comes to like the lower weight classes, like you need to like be on point like at all times.
Do you feel like there's a certain base that is best? Like, do you feel like your kickboxing was better, or you would have preferred to start out with jiu-jitsu?
I would if I could go back in time, I'd start wrestling. I'd wrestle at a young
Wrestling's
age.
the one that I've heard a lot, is
Yeah,
that's the perfect base, because
that's
then you can just learn to control people a little more.
exactly, yeah. So I mean, the way we do it at like our gym though too, like we don't just do like regular jujitsu. We do like grappling to where we implement wrestling and everything too. With our jujitsu, but like wrestling, if I could just start wrestling, because it builds the mindset too, right? Like wrestling is like one of the hardest things to do. Like when you're just grinding nonstop, shooting takedowns and getting like, sprawled on. It takes a lot out of you. So it's just good for like the mentality, I feel like too.
What is the background of your coach?
He started off with I think boxing. He traveled all over the place. So he went to like all these like,
As a
huge gym.
professional fighter?
So he's not professional. He's just went and just trained and learned. He's been to like Thailand and learned there. He went to like the big gyms like AKA. He trained with like Dan Henderson and all these like like these UFC legends. So like if you look, you can see like, all these pictures of him like training with these guys and stuff. So he just went around and just trained like crazy and just learned as much as he could. And then thankfully he brought it back to us.
Did he ever have a desire to fight, or he just loved the learning
I think
process
he
of
just
it?
loved the learning process. He always tells everyone he was like a professional sparring partner. So he just loved
It's a good
going
way to put it.
exactly. Yeah. So he just loved and like just went to go train and everything. And it's pretty cool too because like you go backstage like some of these events and you see like these like UFC legends and they're coming up to like my coach and giving him hugs because they know him from like back in the day. It's pretty cool actually.
You're like, do you know who this is? Like, this guy's coming up to you?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not sure if you heard of like Gilbert Melendez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gilbert Melendez like knew him. They're like talking about like old times and stuff like that. And like another like UFC fighter, like Danny Castillo, like called his wife up on like FaceTime. I was like, look who I found back here. And it was just like like these guys like favorite fighters are, like friends with my coach. It's crazy. It's nuts. But
Well, I would imagine that translates to a lot of skill being translated down to you guys.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and I think it shows too, because like the level that we're at, like people like know our gym for like the tough fights. Like people down like all the way down California like have heard about our gym because like they know we have like the good fighters like up here.
That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah,
to
it's
have.
crazy. Yeah, people like hit me up all the time, like like oh yeah, it's like so and so able to fight. Like we need a tough fight, and it's pretty cool.
You guys are
Actually.
getting called up for that.
Exactly. Yeah, traveling all over the place, and that's another thing too. Is like we want to travel and like fight like these guys. We don't wanna just stay around and like fight guys that just aren't on our level. So like to be able to push yourself, you have to travel around.
Well,
Like
is there a lot of stiff competition up here? I
nah,
mean, outside of you guys, obviously in your
yeah,
gym, but
I wouldn't say so. I would say yeah, probably not. Just because I mean the level of this like
well, small
exactly. It's a
town.
small town. Exactly. It's like you might get some guys who train out of the garage and whatnot that have like no business being in there. So we like to go around and actually test ourselves. I fought guys from like the biggest gyms like AKA Dethrone, all these huge gyms and whatnot, and like pretty successful with it as well too. So we want the competition for when we do go pro, right? So we're ready for it.
Where are you guys going? Like down south,
So
Sacramento?
we've gone to like San Jose, Visalia, Livingston. We've gone to Oregon to fight and whatnot. So it's just all over like the West Coast basically. My teammates obviously Bellator's a little bit different, but like Cass has gone like Connecticut. He's gone into Hawaii to fight. It's
Hawaii would be a cool place to fight.
I was hoping to get on the last Hawaii one, but I messed up my foot and it just didn't work out. But yeah, Hawaii. I have a bunch of family that lives in Hawaii, so I would
That'd
love
be
to fight.
perfect.
Exactly, I would love to fight there one day.
Is there any distinction in the rules or anything when you go across state lines like that?
I know Oregon has like knees to the face, so they do.
They
three.
don't allow that.
No, they do allow.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, so California, if you or your opponent have 3 or less fights, it's 2-minute rounds and you wear shin guards. And then if you guys have more than 3 fights, it's 3-minute rounds with no shin guards. But there's no knees or elbows to the face with amateurs. But in Oregon, you can go knees to the face.
Why the shin guards? That seems like a weird
I would
padded spot.
Yeah, I would say maybe to avoid cuts. Like so, if you get like a head kick or something like that, you might avoid like splitting like an eyebrow open or something like that. And just because they're still pretty new, right? If you have like only like if you just have like no fights, then I would say like less injuries is better, right? So especially if you're gonna like do a few amateur fights, you don't get all banged up. So it's okay. I mean, I still feel it after because they're like socks. They're basically tube socks. It's just something to cover your leg. So I'm like, like I wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of them, but
It's almost more superficial.
yeah, exactly for the look of it, I would say, and then like the short rounds too. So
Do you feel like, have you been focusing on your cardio where you are going to be making that jump now to
yes,
5 minutes? Is
yeah,
that something that's
yeah,
kind of.
I am not looking forward to it as well. Like just the cardio, just the fight because we went from 3 minutes going to 5 minutes, so it's completely different. You gotta be able to push, harder for longer durations and be able to pace yourself as well. So the cardio is, we work pretty hard at our gym, so it's just adding like those few extra minutes onto it and making sure I'm ready to go.
What do you feel like is the biggest point that you need to work on? Do you have one or do you feel pretty well rounded going into
I feel
this.
well rounded. Obviously, there's stuff you can work on. Cardio is always going to be a big issue, right? Because I mean, you could
I
be
mean,
the
if you get gassed, you're screwed.
exactly you could be the best fighter in the world, but if you gas out, then it's like, it's like that's a tough one, right? So the last thing I want to do is be tired during a fight. So just pushing that, but just mixing everything up together. It's like especially now I have elbows and knees to the face too. So trying to either one avoid that happening to me or being able to land it as well. So it's just it's just mixing it all together. My punch, kicks, takedowns, submissions. If I get taken down, getting back up, all that stuff.
The distinction with the rules, like elbows and knees to the face,
Mhm.
is that does that kind of limit you guys in a way because you're not getting that experience and now you are for your first fight? Or do you feel like that protection to not really just thrash you guys right out of the gate is kind of beneficial?
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, like brain damage again too, right? You don't want people because even like the amateurs, you wear like a little bit like thicker gloves, so the punches aren't hurting as bad.
So they're really trying to protect you
Yeah,
guys.
it's for when you do go pro. They're trying to give you enough experience without damaging you like crazy. But then yeah, obviously like elbows is like a huge thing. But it's also like it's not like a very common thing to see people get elbowed like crazy, right? Because obviously it's a close range weapon. So you have to be able, usually by the time you go pro, you understand distance and whatnot, and you understand like what could put you in danger and what can't. So
It's like a little taste, but not
exactly,
100%.
exactly, yeah,
I didn't know that they had distinctions like that between the amateurs and the pros. I thought it
yeah.
was all what you see is what you get. You're going in.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually especially like with California, they do a pretty good job with the amateurs. They make it so again, no one's getting hurt too bad. Obviously, you still see knockouts and whatnot, but I've never seen someone seriously get hurt. But it's giving you the feel for it, and just so you do make the jump because obviously you have like these unsanctioned events where like you go to like a casino or something like that, and you don't have to necessarily have a like a commission there if you're on like like these tribal lands and whatnot. So you see like a lot of these guys who have no idea what they're getting into start getting elbowed in the face, whatever it may be, and it's just like it's just it's like they're getting hurt for no reason. But like when you're like an athletic commission, then they keep everybody safe. You have to pass physicals, blood tests, all that stuff.
Well, I've heard about those casino fights that they can get a little hectic. My
Yeah.
sister and my dad went to one a while ago. This was a long time ago,
Hmm.
and it was people that shouldn't have been in the ring that
Hmm.
just almost on a whim were like, "Yeah, I'll fight." And
Yep.
so you have these completely mismatched fights where one dude looks like he's shredded, he's in there to
Yeah.
kill somebody, and the other guy's like, overweight, doesn't look like
Yep.
he works out, and just gets demolished.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where, like, the matchmaking comes in and stuff too, you know what I mean? Because you can have, like, a good fight between, like, people who just started out if you match them correctly, right? But, yeah, again, like, the whole, like, just, like, that's, like, almost like patting, like, a record, right? And it's just, like, for us, at least, we wanna, like, test ourselves against, like, the toughest guys possible and, not really just beat up, people who have no business. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a career for me, and, like, it's not just, like, some hobby. I wanna go beat up somebody, I'm not some meathead where I'm just trying to hurt somebody. I'm trying to, showcase my skills and, push myself.
Well, yeah, and you have that aspect of you are trying to build this into something. If
Yeah.
you're just the guy who is like, "Oh, I train a little bit. I just wanna
Yeah.
go wail on somebody," that's perfect for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's a time and place for it, for it. But yeah, for me, yeah, I take it seriously. I want it to be a career. But yeah, I mean, nothing against like the guys who just want to, do like a recreational fight. I think that's great. Obviously, it's better than fighting in the street, go do that.
A
But
lot better. A little
exactly. Yeah.
safer too. That'd be the way
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
With training and putting in all this work, these guys that are out there fighting with you at the amateur level, are you seeing a lot of guys who do it and then decide this isn't for them, or is everybody in this sphere pretty dedicated to trying to go to Bellator or UFC or one of these
It
avenues?
usually just depends, right? Obviously, like when the cards are like being made, you start off with like the lower level like guys, like the 0-0 guys, and like, maybe guys with like a couple losses, and then the further and further you go up the card, the more like skilled like these fighters are, right? So obviously, like the top like part of these amateur cards are like these guys can turn pro like at any time. And a lot of them are, taking it very seriously. And you can see, like in like the fights, like the technique's a lot better, the cardio's a lot better. The way they handle themselves is a lot better. So you see it sometimes like I've been backstage where I've seen like this like kid who had no business being in there, had no idea what he was doing. His friends just kind of like talked him into it. They had no idea how to wrap hands. They had no idea how to warm up properly. And like you see guys like that where they go in, they lose and then they're kind of done with it. And it sucks because like if you had like an actual proper team, then you might be able to go somewhere. But
Yeah, you're just there with some buddies that don't know what they're doing either. That's
exactly,
a
yeah.
rough way to start.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember especially with that one too. Yeah, they're like they had no idea how to wrap hands or so they're looking up Creed the movie, how to wrap hands. They said pull up the scene from Creed where he's wrapping hands and try copying that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the first red flag.
exactly. Yeah, they had no business being in there. And then obviously he lost. I don't think he's fought ever since. So
Well, I would imagine if you go into a fight like that and you really don't know what you're doing and you probably shouldn't be there,
mhm.
that would be a pretty traumatic experience,
Yeah,
especially if you just get demolished.
exactly.
That could
Yeah.
be one of those moments that kind of changes your path in life.
Exactly, yeah. I would say it'd be different if you actually trained as hard as you possibly could, and yeah, I mean, everybody. I mean, if you're fighting the right, like the toughest fights, you're gonna lose eventually. It's just like it's. I mean, unless you're like Khabib, where he's like,
Just demolishing people.
exactly, yeah. But that's like a once in a lifetime, thing. So it's like you see all these other champions where they have like some of these guys have like double digit losses, but it's because they fought actual fighters, and it's as long as you're doing that, it's like you're gonna lose, but it's like it's how you bounce back. How learning experiences. It's like if you lose, it's like it's not the end of the world. People think it's the end of the world. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? Your friends are still gonna be there.
Nobody's taking away your birthday.
Exactly. Are you gonna wake up? The sun's gonna be there the next day. It's not the end of the world. It's just getting back, learning from those mistakes you made, and just getting back in there.
Is it hard overcoming that first loss and realizing that, yeah, okay, everything's going to be fine. It's not the end of the world?
For me, I was like, I knew at some point it was gonna happen because again, like I was fighting like the toughest guys in my whole division, up, in the whole state. So I knew it was gonna happen at some point. I wish my loss ended a different way rather than like me having like the crazy high blood sugar and whatnot. So I was hoping it would end a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, I was fine with it. I was like the better guy won that night, so it was on me to make sure my blood sugar was in check, and even if it wasn't in check, be able to work a game plan to where I can work around it, and I didn't do that. So afterwards, I was obviously like you get pretty upset, you're bummed out because you worked pretty hard for it, but you just go to the gym that Monday and just keep working stuff.
Do you have a game plan in place now so that if your blood sugar kind of starts going haywire,
Yeah.
it's not the end of it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just want to make sure, stay calm would be the main thing. And
Can you take a shot of insulin in between rounds? Would they allow that?
no, no, yeah,
Of
you can't.
course
Yeah, you
not.
can't even take like an inhaler. If you have like asthma, you can't take inhalers in between rounds. You have to have like even like the bottle of like water has to be like a clear bottle and has to be like sealed like by the time you go in there. So yeah, I don't think they'd let me inject some insulin.
Be worried you're doing steroids or
Something
something.
like that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have to take it like right beforehand. I have a monitor on me usually too, where
During the fight.
not during the fight, so beforehand, so I can check my phone. It tells me what my blood sugar is, and I can look at that and see, okay, well, that's my blood sugar, and it'll let me know if it's going up or if it's going down, and I can adjust from there.
So what is your game plan if it does spike, especially where you are going into these longer rounds?
Yeah, I mean, just
Just
try,
work through
yeah,
it.
just work through it. Try to stick and move. Mostly just like how my game plan is, just stick and move, land some like good long shots. 'Cause I'm pretty tall for my weight class, so I'm gonna be a little bit taller than this guy. So if I can just keep the distance and keep him off of me, then that'll be pretty good. Obviously, try not to show that I have high blood sugar as well. Would probably be like the main thing, and just staying calm and just yeah, try to work through it.
Are you worried about your opponents doing some, I don't know, oppo research on you and finding that out and just trying to gas you out during the fight?
Uh, it wouldn't even be like gas. If like my blood sugar's good, like I feel like my
You'd
cardio
be fine.
exactly, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I would hope they would try that because then if they gas themselves out, and then it's just like
Then you're in
and then I
it.
just put it on them, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, I would imagine, fighting with diabetes because you've almost got a handicap, but you can kind of work
Yep,
around it, but
yeah.
it's still kind of there.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, it's not, like, debilitating, like, to that extent to where I can, work on it and, like,
Yeah, it's not like you lost an arm
exactly, yeah.
and you're like, well, I guess
Exact
I'm just gonna fight
yeah.
one-handed.
Yep, it just the lead up to it, and then obviously the night of the fight, I have to make sure it's really in check, so it's like it gets a little stressful, like, I'm not gonna lie, it does get a little bit stressful, but, as long as, you're just trying your best with it, try to get a routine going, and then, it should be good to go.
Is type 1 diabetes, is that genetic?
Yes, yeah, so
It
my mom
is.
my mom has it as well.
Does your brother have it?
No, which is the
No.
crazy thing because 'cause we're twins, and, yeah, he doesn't have it, but we're genetically, like, the same, but he doesn't have it, so he must have like done something.
Just skirted the
Yeah,
edge.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like the worst genetics too. He's bigger than me. He's stronger. I don't think
You
he's as
couldn't have
good.
just taken the diabetes. Just let me
Exactly.
have
Something. Yeah, let me
something.
have something. But
Damn. Yeah. I mean, well, kudos to you for not saying, "Hey, this is gonna alter my course. Like, I'm
mhm.
gonna let this stop me."
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that speaks volumes.
yeah. I was hoping to at least be like the first UFC fighter in with diabetes, but my buddy Jordan Williams actually beat me to
Beat you
that.
to it.
He beat me
Ah,
to it. Yeah. So I'm second. I call dibs on second.
yeah. Well, at least that shows you that somebody can get to that level
Yeah.
and that it's achievable. I mean, that's
Exactly.
kind
Yeah.
of good in that sense where the road is there.
Yes.
It's
Exactly.
achievable. It's something you can do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was huge seeing him, be able to make it to the UFC, and because I followed him pretty early on in his career, and to see him actually, make it and stuff too, it was definitely inspiring for sure.
But I'm sure that's got to be something for you too. You're on TikTok, right? I think I came across
Yes,
your
yeah, yeah,
TikTok
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. And I was reading some of the comments, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that's all. What you're
yeah.
doing is awesome. Like you're inspiring me." And so going down that path, like you might be that for somebody else down the
Yes,
road. You
yeah.
know?
That'd be like, honestly a dream come true if I can just inspire, one kid who might be dealing with, anything, So it's diabetes, whatever it may be, if I can inspire one kid to keep pushing towards their dream, not even just fighting anything, then that break my heart in a good way.
Job
So
well
yeah,
done.
exactly. Yep.
It's weird, especially in this social media age where you can follow anybody's journey through anything.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can follow somebody's fight career from when they're starting out to where they get where they're going.
hmm
Anything. It's all online. Everybody's online now.
Yeah, and it wasn't never that way before. Like beforehand, like when I was like first getting into it, it was just like you could watch like some YouTube highlights and stuff. They might have like some of these fighters might have a Facebook page, but a lot of them didn't at the time. So then especially now, it's like you
Yeah,
see
cut
all
to now, everything is online. You can see
exactly yeah.
full fights, you can see techniques, you can
hmm
see breakdowns.
Breakdowns,
It's
yeah.
all there.
Yeah, yeah. You can scroll on Instagram and like I'll be scrolling on Instagram and see something, someone's breaking it down, and it's like it's all over the place. So it's the best time ever to get into it. Is like right now, like there's so much to learn and like so many people teaching it.
Is there an aspect of fear that's attached to that? Because at least from a layman's perspective, where I'm not a fighter, the idea that you could have one fight where someone just knocks you out in a spectacular fashion
Mm.
that's not great for you, and
Uh-huh.
now that lives online would kind of
Yeah.
that'd
I
be in the back of my mind.
I guess you gotta just
You
know
just gotta eat
you
it.
gotta know it's a possibility. Train your butt off. Because obviously going into like a fight, it's like especially if you see someone's highlight, like my guy just getting KO after KO after KO, and it's just like you just gotta be able to train and just know like okay, well I got be careful for that, and just trust your instincts, trust your training. All the the coaches, your teammates. They're there to help you out. So just putting all your trust into them, and then obviously just perform as well as you can on fight night.
Yeah, you don't wanna go in thinking, "Oh, shit, what happens if I get knocked out?" That'd be a
Exactly.
rough way to start the fight.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta be like obviously you have to be like a like you have to know what's coming, right? Obviously they're throwing punches, they're gonna try to knock you out, but like just being smart about it and just sticking to the game plan, not getting like too wild and whatnot. So really just listening to your coaches is the main thing.
Listening to your coaches, listening to your body,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
just trying to work through it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Gabriel, I'm excited for July 15th, man.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what you do. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. 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 It's gonna be awesome. This is gonna be my second fight back in Humble. We're bringing good MMA back to Humble. I'm excited. Cass Bell's gonna be main event. People are excited to see him back in Humble too. He hasn't had any fights since his amateur days, so he's been out of Humble for a while now. So he's coming back to fight. It's gonna be awesome. We have like another pro debut with Dupree Stewart. So he was gonna be in Bellator. Something happened with his opponent, but he's gonna be back in Humboldt, so it's gonna be exciting. We have a bunch of guys from the IOC team. My brother's gonna be fighting on the card. Leapin's gonna be fighting on the card. Scuba's gonna be fighting on the card. We have a bunch of guys, so it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited for sure.
And cool to be back in Humboldt doing that. And
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is at Bear River Casino?
Blue Lake Casino.
Blue Lake.
Yeah, Blue
Okay.
Lake Casino. Yeah, July 15th. It's gonna be awesome. I gotta wake up in my own bed.
That's got
Just
to be
drive
nice.
over there. Yeah, not having to go to like a hotel. 8 hours away. So I'm definitely excited for it. The last time I fought here, I had a first round TKO. So I'm hoping get some just as nice.
Hoping to recreate the magic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, man, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Do you want to plug where people can find you, where they can find the IOC, all your stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
TikTok?
Yeah. So Instagram's gonna be the best way to keep up with me, and that's gonna be sensei_IOC. You can follow the gym, Institute of Combat. We have 21 grams. If you follow me on TikTok, again, it's just sensei_IOC. I try to keep everything at that same handle.
Yeah, what I gotta ask before we end here, what was the reasoning behind the sensei branding? Because that's all over online.
So sensei. So my coach gave me that nickname because when I first started out, like I had said earlier, I was just taking pictures, and so he was interested in taking pictures of like the guys training and stuff too. So he said, if you show me how to take pictures, I'll show you how to fight. And then he's like it got to me being sensei of like the camera, like I was like his sensei for the camera, and then just shortened up to sensei.
Oh,
And
that's
it's just we're
cool.
stuck with it, yeah.
Yeah, you guys were teaching each other.
Exactly. Yeah, he showed me how to kick ass. I was showing him how to take, half decent photos at the time.
Nice. Okay, well, man, July 15th.
Yep.
Hopefully, everybody will be out there showing some support.
Yeah. Tickets
Sounds like it'll be
available online.
awesome fight.
Yeah. Tickets available online at bluelakecasino.com. So yeah, get your tickets there.
July 15th.
July 15th. Yep.
All right. Thanks, man.
Awesome. I appreciate it.